Welcome to the Bedroom to Boardroom podcast with me, Noel Reeves. The podcast aimed at SME owners to help build a community to support and also give advice and really good real-world content to help you on your journey, wherever you are, from the bedroom to the boardroom. Today, we're joined by Mark Eddy from Pragmatiko Partnership. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Noel. Great to be here. Much appreciated.
So before we get into it, today we're going to be talking about your why. Not your why, but the why of why we do what we do. Before we jump into it, do you want to just give a quick intro of who you are and what you do at Pragmatiko?
Yes, I'm Mark Eddy. I'm a co-founder of a company called the Pragmatiko Partnership with a colleague of mine, Christine Martin. And actually, it was born on the back of actually having worked in industry at some exciting levels with teams all over the world. And actually just leveraging that information and how we can help SMEs specifically to sort of scale and grow and help engage their purpose to the next level and give that independent oversight, advisory and mentorship that might make a difference for them.
We're both a big fan of Simon Sinek.
I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek. I'd say very much a lot of what I do is very much governed on his why, how, what, because I just think it makes life a lot simpler when you understand it and use it.
Do you want to just talk a bit about the why and why you think that's important?
Well, what's exciting about getting into why is actually it starts to help you tell your story a lot better. But why fundamentally is about what is the beneficial outcome that anybody dealing with you is going to have when they work with you. So it's why would you want to work with them? Because you're mainly interested in your clients, in getting what they need out of it. So as opposed to saying, hi, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and I think that's why you should do it. The why is very much governed around outcome based and say, actually, my only real reason is here to help you move the dial in improving your bottom line, but this is how I do it. And what it does, it helps to differentiate yourself from the competition, because you quite rightly say lots of people get very bogged down by the what they do. And there's a lot of what out there, some great whats, but they don't stand out enough. But if you can tell that story to somebody, how it makes a difference to them and how your actions are going to help them improve what you need to do, so much the better. I think the simplest thing is if you can explain their problem better than they can in a shorter words, then then you're on the journey to having that discussion.
What is it about the why that you think is important? And like you mentioned about the storytelling, and is it something in that and that engagement with people and how they and almost getting to know you, not necessarily knowing, obviously they already know what you do. If you're selling widgets, they know that, but they don't necessarily know about the people, the organization, what the ethos is of the team. What is it about it that you think is so important?
I think it's because people want to deal with people that they want to deal with. And so how do you, when you go walk in and have an experience with, actually I engaged in that restaurant so much because there was, yes, the food was good, but actually the service felt better and there was something about it. There's a bit of an X factor to the why, which I think some people get very scared about, or how do I find my why? Because my why surely is just the same as everybody else's. But everybody has their own sort of DNA, their own sort of personal way of delivering something. And very much like yourself in everything that you do, it's different to how somebody else does. And you need to try and find a way to codify that, for want of a better word, to tell that story, and then wrap it round ultimately what is the need of the customer. And if you can solve a customer's need wrapped around your story, delivered in the way that you say it, then you start to got a very strong why.
I think for a lot of people that actually understanding that is and really getting to the grips with it is quite difficult. I know it was for me too, because I kind of felt like I knew why I did what I did, because I want to help people to achieve their goals. I love seeing people succeed. I love being a part of someone else's journey to success. And I'm really passionate about that. And I think that comes across in what we do in our business. And I've always tried to make people feel that we care. And that's so important to me, because I don't want to do it for people who don't care. I'm disengaged. So, and I think there's a lot of businesses out there who are really good at helping other people to experience who they are and why they do what they do. Apple being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just buy a PC or call them PC, but a computer
Yeah.
for Apple, you're buying into something a bit more.
I think it's how you're integrating and how you become an integral part of someone's journey. I think what you in your early part of your statement you talked about that you're really passionate about something, and I think when you understand why you do what you do and how that makes a tangible difference to a client, you naturally become more passionate about telling your story,
Mm.
and your story resonates with the people that you're talking to. What is always very, it could either be a product, a service, and what have you. And if everybody defines you just on what you do, you're going to be monetized lower and lower and lower down, and it's going to be a race to the bottom as to comparison.
Mm.
But the why really shows your value, the value that you provide. And the more people need to spend a little bit more time in determining that, because it protects their personal brand, but also the output of the what their value that they can provide for the end customer. And it's the end customer, really. And so you've got to care, you've got to be passionate. And if you're not that, then you're not really going to be able to find a good why. When you do, you enjoy your job more. You suddenly realize there's a lot more purpose, there's a lot more value in not only what I do or you do, but to your clients. And they say, we've got an engaged partner. And also part of that, and as you well know, we spend a lot of time trying to understand, what is your ideal customer profile? And if
Mm.
you don't understand your customer's profile, you can't see their problems through their eyes, through their lens.
Mm.
And by spending time understanding that, you then can actually solve problems more efficiently and purposefully. And then as a result of it, you end up developing further and better skills
Mm.
and greater opportunities. So it's almost like you're ultimately telling the same story, but you're telling it in reverse. And those that, I'm not saying anything new. Obviously, we've mentioned that Simon Sinek. It's that whole reversing the information flow, so that people see where the value is, the value from the customer and why what they need, and the value from the partnership, from the supplier, whatever it might be, where the client really understands what it is they're going to get from them.
Who do you think is a good example of how of a purpose-led organization that has a really clear why?
I mean, obviously you mentioned Apple, but that would be a little bit too easy because I think everybody references them very well. I think Nike is a very clever one. Just do it,
Mm.
because obviously it's effectively that's talking to the hearts and minds of, we're just here to help you and enable yourself to do whatever it is you want to do within your sporting activity. It's not like, hi, we're a clothing company, we can provide you this, that, and the other. There's an emotion behind it.
Mm.
I think there's lots of great examples of that. I mean, Richard Branson is another great example. Once again, it's another name that gets wheeled out an awful lot, but actually, he's somebody that's very passionate. He's somebody that lets his staff do the talking.
What do you think are the easiest ways for people to help get their why out there? How do they demonstrate it? It's very well good to talk it, but how do you got to live it, right? You've got to make other people feel it.
First and foremost, you've got to understand what is your why and spend time to do it. And then that'll be broken down into maybe two or three key areas where there's going to be value. And then break each one of those sections out. And then I think there's a myriad that you've got, talk shows like this. You've got on LinkedIn. Don't always try to be selling something. Try to add value, to say that you're a thought leader
Mm.
in that subject. So the more that you spend time in understanding maybe that one element of your why, and then, put articles out there, and then look for other people's and like them and comment against them, and keep it consistent. Whatever you do, you must keep it consistent. And
Mm.
so whatever your frame of communication is, through whether it's on social media or doing a chat or a presentation, that if you consistency is the most important thing.
Yeah, you make an interesting point about the getting the right people in place and having the team to do the thing. And I think it's really important that teams are front and center, celebrated by their leaders, but also are at the coalface themselves, get out of the comfort zone and get people to get to know them. I think that's so important. And I know in the exhibition space, which we both work in, Peter Jones at 19 Group is really good at championing his people and talking about the culture and their purpose-led organization and what they want to do for their communities. And they've built really strong communities, really good shows, because people know that they care about the people that are doing the work and the outcomes for their clients. And I think that's a really good example of a purpose-led organization that is sharing their why and how people are reacting to that. And I think that getting that out in the public domain, however they do that, is really, really important.
Oh, I think so. I think they're a great example, and it's that shared success story. It's not just held at the top. They're actually saying, actually, we're successful because our team over here have just nailed it. They've done this amazing job, and it's not just it's all being held up of the success sort of retention at the very top. A motivated team will actually motivate a spreadsheet, but a motivated spreadsheet won't motivate a team. And by that I mean, if you start the beginning of the year by saying, if we don't hit this number, we're all in trouble. It's like we've got a challenging number to hit, but actually, how do we break it down? And how do we go to all the individual parts and then motivate them to deliver against their section of it? And then what happens is you get success.
Yeah. Moving aside from that and looking at your journey in your business, obviously we're talking that the podcast is all about taking businesses from a
Yep.
bedroom at home to Boardroom. So you're fairly new on this journey with Pragmatiko.
Yes, it's I've gone from obviously working for a PLC at a very senior level, and it was a huge privilege, to literally starting from scratch. We're sort of a little over a year into it, and yeah, I won't lie, it gets daunting. It's all of a sudden you suddenly realize, I've actually got to go out and practice what I preach. I think what the excitement of it is that when you put yourself out there and you have this company, all of a sudden you collect clients from places that you didn't think.
Mm.
And we're very fortunate that we're not just focusing on the exhibition and events business, we're focusing to SMEs at any industry level. Having worked heavily in this industry, you've had to talk to all industry sectors anyway.
Mm.
So by the nature of it, what I've done is I've helped to build teams and help them to drive their performance, to grow their businesses. So there's nothing much different from that. It's just that I'm now trying to leverage that and spend time. And I find it hugely humbling that people want to invite me in to try and politely interrogate themselves inside their business. But also, it's a privilege to be part of smaller journeys of growth. And it also means that I can leverage additional insight that I gain along the way, because let's be honest, every day is a school day.
Mm.
And so yes, we're as I said, my business partner Christine Martin and we're on our journey, and I'm trying to I want to build it up to a certain level, but I also want to make sure that I'm giving a lot of personal one-on-one time, but also how can I leverage that at a scalable level as well. So I'm on that journey of trying what's the magic mix of that. But in the meantime, I'm lucky enough that we've picked up a number of clients and that are taking us on an enjoyable journey.
And would you have a good book recommendation?
A book that obviously I'm a Simon Sinek fan, because I just think that he helps simplify thing, and I think anybody that hasn't seen him, you should go onto the TED conferences and have a look at it, and because he tells a good story. But the other one is Gino Wickman's Traction, because I think there's a really good set of practical sets of templates and thinking that you can start to sort of interrogate yourself in an easy to read format, and it feels very
it's relatable, isn't it?
relatable. That's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Noel.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Traction has been a great book for me on my business journey.
Great.
I read it many years ago and I've recommended it to lots of people. I've bought it for lots of people. I've sent it to them with a little note inside, because I think if you can get to grips with that, it's got the foundations of pretty much every business. It's completely transferable across all industries. Yeah, really good advice, really good book. So
Yeah, and another one that I read a long time ago, because somebody gave me a book, was The Good to the Great, and I forget who the name of the author
Jim
was.
Collins.
The Jim Collins. And I think there's just some interesting learns in there as well. So there's some good classic ones out there, and there's some great new stuff coming out. But obviously, we only have so much time in our day to read. But it's find something, pick it up, read it, find some inspiration if it helps you move.
Mark, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Not at all. This has been great fun. Thank you for inviting me, Noel.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.